All right, so it seems like everyone is getting ready for Secret Level coming out on December 10th.
Yeah.
Let's dive into this video game anthology series
Okay.
and see what we can find.
Anthologies are really a fascinating format, especially for adapting something like video games.
Right.
Each episode is like its own little mini movie. Love, Death, and Robots kind of paved the way for this.
Yeah, definitely. And with Secret Level, they're taking that concept, but focusing it on all the stories that video games can tell.
Yeah.
It's not just cutscenes and gameplay. It's about the worlds and the characters,
Yeah.
all the themes.
And the timing right before the holidays, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That could be Amazon trying to get more people to subscribe.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
smart move for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's break down what Secret Level actually is for people who haven't been following it. It's an adult animated anthology series, meaning each episode is a standalone story,
Right.
but all connected by this theme of video game worlds.
Yeah.
And the creative team behind it is pretty impressive.
We're talking Tim Miller, the director of Deadpool,
Yeah.
and the creator of Love, Death, and Robots, along with Dave Wilson,
Right.
who also worked on Love, Death, and Robots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that pedigree alone means we're in for something good.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've put together a star-studded cast.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and his son Patrick,
Wow.
Kevin Hart and his daughter Heaven,
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves,
Yeah.
Gabriel Luna.
It's like a who's who of
Yeah.
Hollywood.
The list just goes on and on.
Yeah, they didn't scoop on the budget, it seems.
Yeah. And beyond the big names, you've got voice acting talent like Laura Bailey, who's
Yeah.
a legend in the video game world. Ide Wall, Akinwumi Abache, Michael Beach, Emily Swallow,
Wow.
and Claudia Dumet.
Mm-hmm.
Just a really impressive lineup.
I'm seeing a lot of range in that cast. That means that the stories they're telling are going to need all sorts of different styles.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk animation.
Okay.
Blur Studio, who did Love, Death, and Robots,
Mm-hmm.
are producing this with Amazon MGM Studios.
Right.
They're known for doing some crazy stuff in animation.
I mean, motion capture and photorealistic stuff,
Yeah.
that could be huge here.
Yeah.
We're talking about so many different video game styles.
Right.
Some of those are really complicated.
Yeah.
So how they translate that into animation and keep their own style, it's going to be interesting.
All right, now let's get to the main part of all this, the games themselves.
Okay.
Secret Level says they're doing 15 original stories
Wow.
set in classic and modern games.
Ooh.
We're talking a big range from action games like Armored Core,
Mm-hmm.
God of War, Sifu.
I mean, this is a great variety.
Yeah.
Think about all the types of stories. You
Like-
could have like war, sci-fi, then like a fun adventure.
Exactly.
It's amazing what they could do.
And they've got some big franchises too.
Like what?
Warhammer 40,000, Space Marine 2, and even Unreal Tournament.
That's smart.
Yeah.
They're appealing to fans of those games.
Yeah.
But they're also showing new people what they might like.
Yeah,
That would be
exactly.
a good strategy.
And they've got some classics like Mega Man and Pac-Man.
Oh, wow.
I mean, how do you adapt those for adults?
Yeah.
Those games are so simple.
How do you make that into a serious story? And
Yeah.
do they keep it light or do they make it dark?
Right.
It's going to be interesting.
And it's not like they're just adapting the storylines. These are new stories in these worlds.
Oh, cool.
We've even got Clive Standen coming back as Demetrius Titus from Space Marine 2. Secret Level seems like it's going to have great animation.
Yeah.
And big stars exploring these stories from video games.
This isn't just about selling those games.
Right.
They're taking the stories and characters seriously.
Yeah.
They want to show fans and new people how good they are.
It seems like they really want to make video game stories just as good as other entertainment.
I agree. It's exciting. I can't wait to see what they do.
Me too. Okay, we've covered a lot, but let's look closer at some of these games.
Okay.
What stands out to you?
Spelunky, I think.
Spelunky. Okay, let's go with that.
Okay.
Let's see what secrets we can find in those caves.
All right. So Spelunky is an interesting choice for this anthology.
Yeah.
It's like a 2D platformer. You know that kind of retro look?
Yeah.
Where you explore these caves, get treasure, and try not to die in all the traps.
Yeah.
But it's also super hard,
Yeah.
notoriously difficult.
Yeah, I've heard it called Nintendo hard with a bit of that Indiana Jones kind of vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
But what does roguelike even mean? I'm not really familiar with that as a genre.
So roguelike means that when you die, you got to start over from the beginning.
Oh, wow.
The levels are randomly generated too.
So every time is different.
Yeah, it's all about risk and reward.
That-
Like you never know what's coming next.
So you need to be good, but also lucky.
You got to learn from dying, basically.
Right.
Use what you find. Be ready for anything.
Interesting.
It makes you think and plan, but you got to be ready for the unexpected too.
That makes sense, but how do they make that into a story for an episode?
Right. You can't have the character just keep dying.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll focus on one really hard run through the caves,
Okay.
showing how the character struggles and pushes their limits.
Yeah.
Like a story about never giving up.
Or maybe they get meta with it.
Right.
Like the character knows they're in this loop of dying and coming back.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty deep.
Like thinking about fate and all that.
Yeah.
But we can't forget the funny side of Spelunky.
Right.
Remember the shopkeeper selling you stuff while you're running from spiders.
Oh, yeah. He's great.
I can imagine a scene where the cave is collapsing and he's just setting up shop.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Spelunky has adventure and suspense, but also that dark humor, even some deeper stuff.
It's really unique.
It'll be interesting to see how they handle it.
Okay, let's talk about another game I'm curious about. The Outer Worlds.
Ah, the Outer World.
It's an RPG by Obsidian, who did Fallout, New Vegas.
Yeah, I love that game.
I've heard it's got great writing and really sharp satire.
It's brilliant. It's like this future where companies control everything.
Like everything.
Basically. And it makes fun of all that, how we're obsessed with buying stuff,
Yes.
corporate greed, all that. It's funny, but it also makes you think.
It sounds really relevant to today.
Exactly. That's why it's perfect for Secret Level. It makes
Yeah.
you think about the world we live in.
Right, it's not just escapism.
Yeah, it makes you question things.
So how do they fit all that into a 20-minute episode?
I hope they do something new within that world.
Okay.
Capture the spirit of the game,
Yeah.
but explore those themes.
So maybe we see colonists trying to survive on a planet controlled by a corporation.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
They're stuck making tough choices,
Right.
trying to fight for a better life.
Or maybe it's about one person's journey,
Okay.
trying to find themselves in this crazy world.
Yeah, that would be interesting too.
Either way, The Outer Worlds has so much potential.
Totally. All right. We talked about the new stuff.
Mhm.
Let's go back to the classics, Mega Man and Pac-Man.
Ah, the classics.
What do you think is the hardest thing about adapting those?
I think it's keeping the simple stuff that people love,
Yeah.
but also making it fresh for people today.
Right.
Those games are iconic,
Yeah.
but their stories are pretty basic.
Pac-Man is eating dots and running from ghosts.
Yeah.
And Mega Man is just shooting robots.
So how do you make that into something adults will care about?
Right.
It's about adding more to it.
Okay.
Like, give the characters more depth, explain the world more, and tell a deeper story.
So instead of Pac-Man eating dots, maybe it's about why the ghosts are chasing him.
Yeah. Like, maybe the ghosts were victims of some experiment.
Ooh, yeah.
Now they're trapped, forever chasing Pac-Man.
That would add a whole new layer to it.
Right. And for Mega Man, maybe it's about the ethics of making robots that can think.
Okay.
What does it mean to be human when technology is getting so smart?
That's a good question.
Even simple games can tell complex stories.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's about finding the right angle.
Totally agree. Okay, let's talk about Warhammer 40,000. Space Marine 2.
Oh, yeah, that one.
We know Clive Stanton is back as Titus, and the story happens after the game.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah.
Warhammer has such a deep world,
Yeah.
and Space Marine is known for its crazy action.
Right.
Plus, having Clive Stanton back means they're serious about it.
I'm not a huge Warhammer fan, but even I've heard about how intense it is.
Yeah, it's a dark future where humanity is constantly at war.
Jeez.
And the Space Marines are these super soldiers, basically like walking tanks.
Wow.
They're all that's standing between humanity and total destruction.
So it sounds like this episode will be packed with action.
Definitely. Big battles, crazy weapons, scary monsters.
Yeah, it could be really visually impressive.
And there's a lot they could explore about sacrifice, duty, what war does to people.
Yeah.
Titus is a complex character. He's torn between his loyalty and his own sense of right and wrong.
Sounds like they have a lot to work with.
They do. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about Sifu.
Sifu, okay.
It's a much smaller story
Yeah.
compared to Warhammer, at least. Writes about this kung fu student who wants revenge for his family.
I remember that one. It had that aging mechanic.
Yeah. Every time you die, you come back older.
That's such a cool idea.
How will they show that in animation, though?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's such a big part of the game.
Right.
I hope they do something visual.
Oh.
Like his appearance and how he moves changes as he gets older.
Yeah, so he starts young and impulsive
Exactly.
and ends up this wise master.
Right. It would visually show how time and experience change you.
Yeah,
And Sifu has amazing fight scenes.
I heard that.
If Blur Studio can capture even a little bit of that, it'll be awesome to watch.
Okay, we've covered a good number of games,
Hmm.
but there are still some left.
Like what?
I'm curious about the online ones, like Crossfire, Honor of Kings, and New World, Eternum.
Oh, yeah, those are
It
different.
seems hard to adapt those into secret level.
You're right, those games are all about playing with other people.
Yeah.
It's a shared experience. So how do you tell a story about that in one episode?
Do you focus on individual players or try to show the whole community?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
They got to figure that out.
Maybe they'll follow a group of friends. Well, that's the end of our deep dive.
Yeah, it's a good one.
We've talked about secret level, explored how game stories have changed.
And even imagined what they might become.
It's been a great journey,
We hope it made you think about games in a new way.
and see how powerful their stories can be.
Remember, there's always more to discover.
More to explore and more to learn.
Keep diving deep into the worlds you love.
Until next time. And finally, don't forget to visit reefimages.com to get the best references.